Hello, everybody, and welcome back to wherever you guys are watching this. This is probably going to be on YouTube, so welcome to my YouTube audience. I got something really cool that I want to talk to you guys about today. Actually, this is something that us here, my company, us at Fast Action Mortgage, we've been kind of working on it. We've been working on this since 2022, so it's been kind of on my mind to get it up and running and get it introduced to you guys. You guys probably already know from the title, you guys probably already know what I'm about to talk about, but I wanted to bring to you a new financing option for those of you guys who are, U.S. citizens or anybody in the United States now who's looking to buy a home in Mexico and you don't have all the cash and you want to go through a legitimate institution and get a deal funded and just go through all the real estate in Mexico and get all that done, again, the most legitimate way. We have an option for financing for you, and today I'm going to talk to you all about it. So, first, I guess I really want to talk to you about, number one is going to be, what we lend on, or I should say where we lend, right? So when I first got kind of approved to kind of do this financing on Mexican homes, I was only approved to lend in what you call the resort areas. So we were only approved to lend in places like, I think I have the map up here somewhere. Places like Cabo, places like the Cancun area, Mexico City. Obviously, these are all the big cities: Monterrey, Puerto Vallarta, Mazatlan, some of the large cities. But now the program has been changed, and I want to put it out there for our community. Again, we are lending in Mexico now throughout the entire country of Mexico. So anywhere that you guys are looking to purchase in Mexico, we would love to be that option for you in terms of financing. Buying a home in Mexico is, a lot different than buying a home here in the United States. Again, it's a little bit newer to us, but we are kind of getting them done. They said the main difference between, not the main difference, but one of the differences between buying a home here in the United States and Mexico is when two like Mexican parties get together and they're, you're buying a home from another, a seller over there. A lot of times, Mexican to Mexican, they're doing a lot of times they're cash transactions without an escrow. When you do work with us, it is going to be required. We are going to use a third-party escrow company, so it's similar to the United States. We're lending we're lending in Mexico. Everything's going to be manual. There's not a lot of digital stuff. So unfortunately, we're going to have you guys e-sign as much as you can, but a lot of it is paper documentation. So this is like if you guys bought a home in the 90s or maybe even early 2000s, that's basically what's going to be happening during this transaction. Another little bit of a downside, I know that a lot of transactions in the United States, they do happen in as little as 15 to 20 days, and even most likely it's going to be 30 days if you're getting financing. Unfortunately, one of the drawbacks to buying in Mexico using financing is that it will take a little bit longer than here in the United States. 60 days will be a good time if you guys are buying a home in Mexico. And I do see that I have a question. Go ahead.
How much is a typical down payment for?
Yeah, so we're going to get right into that. Down payments, guys. We're going to talk about down payments. It's going to be, with our company, you're going to need 35% down to purchase. Our minimum loan amount is going to be 250,000 American dollars. So what does that end up meaning, right? That means that you need to be purchasing at 385,000 is going to be your minimum purchase price in Mexico. But I do have a little bit of wiggle room if you guys are putting down a big down payment, or you have what we call compensating factors. A compensating factor would mean that you're above and beyond a good client. What does that mean, right? It means that you have an exceptional credit score, you got a lot of money in the bank, and you have ties to the country of Mexico in terms of maybe you've already owned property in Mexico, so you have experience in that sense. So that's that's the down payment and things of that nature. Go ahead.
Is the credit average going to have to be similar to how it is here?
Yeah, so the credit guidelines. So when you guys are buying in Mexico, the credit guidelines and the underwriting guidelines are going to be very, very similar to here. The only thing is, if you guys are buying an investment property, usually an investment property is going to make you money. I can't use any potential rent, or I can't use any potential Airbnb income. And a lot of people are buying, resort condos and things like that. And the potential rent will help you qualify. I can't do that in Mexico on this type of product. Just the data is not there. And they were telling me when I was doing my training on this, that they were telling me that just Mexican rent is just different than United States rent. They said it just varies so much that it's hard for them to nail it down when you're getting financing. So long story short, you guys said credit. We're going to need a minimum of a 700 credit score. So you are going to need good credit. This is not for people with bad credit. I know we have a ton of options here in the United States for people that don't have, and you guys know we have it, but that's the United States, guys. We're buying in Mexico now. Primary home, by the way, secondary home, and investment properties. We can do them all while purchasing in Mexico. You just need a 700 credit score in order for you to qualify, and that 35% down as well. So those two main things are the main criteria that you're going to need. A good thing, another thing I wanted to talk about was how do you qualify, right? How do you qualify? The underwriting guidelines, they're going to be the same as they are here. You're going to have a debt to income ratio, and you're also going to, but the main thing that we're going to be able to do that I don't know what other people are doing, if you're self-employed and you don't claim all your income, you have a lot of tax write-offs. We can use your bank statements as income to help you buy a home in Mexico. And these aren't some some rinky-dink loans. These are going to be actually 30-year fixed loans. So you're going to be getting a 30-year fixed loan in Mexico. My sweet spot, though, is going to be a 25-year fixed. So if you guys want the best pricing when you guys are buying a home down there, our sweet spot when you guys end up talking to us, it's going to be a 25-year fixed in terms of pricing standards. And the next thing I guess everybody wants to talk about is going to be interest rates. So everybody wants to talk about, what's my interest rate? Right? You guys are going to kill me, yada, yada, yada. Look, you're not getting a 3% mortgage to buy a home in Mexico. Obviously, these are actually like U.S. banks or U.S. financing institutions. These loans are sold, again, similar to here, but there's a group of large investors that are selling these on the secondary market. These are going to be your pensions, your hedge funds. So they're going to want a higher return. You're not getting a 4% rate or a 5% rate. We're now talking, it's the middle. I don't know when you guys are going to be watching this, but it's the middle of 2024. Interest rates in the United States for a United States person buying a home is roughly 7%. These are going to be, I would say, closer to the 9-10% mark. That's where you guys should expect interest rates if you guys are buying a home in Mexico. But as you know, in Mexico, the vacation rental property market is crazy. Well, me personally, I haven't talked about this, but we're really close to Mexico. We love Mexico. We're down in Mexico. I'm down in Mexico at least twice a year. We're about to go. Actually, I just planned a trip. We're about to head back to Mexico. So, I mean, it's a beautiful place to live. It's a beautiful place to vacation. And by the way, it's a huge country. It's similar to the United States. In the U.S., you could be, pretty much California and New York are completely two different places, or Chicago, or Miami, or Nashville, or Dallas, or like completely different cultures, completely different climates. And if you guys don't, I'm sure you guys do because you're watching this video, but if you don't understand, Mexico is the same way. My favorite spot in Mexico is the Mexican Riviera, where we got Playa del Carmen, you got Cancun, and you got Tulum, are the three hotspot destinations in the Mayan Riviera. They're building the train down there. They just finished Tulum's airport. So that area by itself, I just know that area really well because it's one of the areas I visit a lot and I visit frequently. And a lot of people are now considering essentially like retiring in Mexico because of the cost differences, right? So the cost to retire in Mexico, I'm not going to break it down here. I haven't broke it down. So I just know, let's be real, when you're getting, $2 tacos and things like that, it's just way cheaper. The lifestyle is different. It's more relaxed. Just the vibe in general. And you really get that Caribbean feel, I know, in the Mayan Riviera section. But anyway, quick question. Go ahead.
Yeah, what do I need to apply for this loan? What documentation is needed?
Yeah, so no problem. So the question was, what documentation do you need to apply for a loan when you're buying a home as a U.S. citizen buying a home in Mexico? The documentation are going to be similar, if not the same, to a standard mortgage here in the United States. They're going to be basically your W-2s and your pay stubs, and you're going to need bank statements. Those are the three main aspects. But again, I kind of just discussed it. If you're self-employed, I'm going to reiterate it. We can use bank statements as income. So if you guys are self-employed, and again, I kind of talked about it previously, but if you have a lot of write-offs, this would be a great program for you if you're trying to buy a home in Mexico. The only thing is really just the fact that we want to lend only up to, or a minimum of $250,000 loan amount, and there's a reason for that. So I guess another cost that you guys would like to know about is the cost to purchase a home in Mexico. It is a little bit different than the United States. Just the actual costs of purchasing, you're probably looking at 5 to 10% in closing cost, where in the United States, you're looking at 1 to 3% in closing cost. So what does that cover? In Mexico, you're buying a home. There's like really big transfer taxes that you're going to have to pay that could be up to literally 3% of that, 3% of that property. The settlement agent or the escrow agent, that's going to be 1 to 2%. And then government could be technically 2 to 5% on just government fees, transfer taxes, things of that nature. So things really start escalating quickly. But some of this stuff is honestly, if you do a cash transaction, it's really like a non-negotiable and you're going to have to pay it regardless. But here's kind of my pitch, or here's kind of the reason why I think that you should use financing and not cash when buying a home in Mexico. Number one, you're going through a legitimate institution that's going to do it the right way. All their paperwork is going to be together. And on top of that, you can save your cash by doing so. You're going to be lent by a United States institution where your mortgage is going to be safe. You're going to have title insurance through a lender that's helping you out with all the documentation, along with a escrow company that's also going to be working with us in order to get your deal closed. So there's just a lot of safeguards that, if I were to buy, and when I do buy my first home in Mexico, I am going to go through, I'm going to go through this program right here, a United States lender helping me purchase. Number one, they're all Americans, so they're going to guide you the right way, and they're going to do the right thing. They're going to make sure that that property is secured in your name. A lot of issues with, in the Mexican real estate system, when Mexicans are buying from other Mexicans, just standard transactions. Like I said before, number one, they don't use escrow, so there's no third party kind of going in between them. Number two, they're using all cash. So they're basically just writing a note and they're giving it to the other person and saying, hey, here's $100,000 for your condo. Please write me a note, or kind of the deed that I'm going to record now on this house, making it my house. The issue with recording is either sometimes you lose it, sometimes the municipality loses it, and it just doesn't get recorded. And recording in Mexico, I heard it can take up to 6 months to record. So unlike the United States, where recording happens essentially instantly or 24 hours, recording in Mexico can take up to 6 months, but it doesn't mean you don't own the home. It just means that the county office hasn't recognized it, or the municipality, they call it in Mexico, hasn't recognized the deed and they haven't registered the deed. Again, guys, they do everything like it's a 30-year-old system is what they're working off of. They work, it's like 1998 over there. So at least the real estate system is. So that's why it kind of takes forever to get things done. Again, just 1998, it's 2024. So times have changed. There's this thing called a computer that people use now. They didn't use it as much back then. And the internet obviously is used for everything. Everybody's on apps now and everything. We'll be all over the internet. We're going to be emailing you, and you're going to have essentially a loan officer or a concierge that we're going to be working with to get this deal done. But yeah, back to that. It does take obviously a little bit longer to close. Sorry, do you have another question?
Yeah, you said there's no extra third parties. So do our clients work with real estate agents?
Yes, we definitely work for real estate agents, kind of the same way that we work here. Everybody and all my Mexican real estate agents, if you guys are listening to this and you guys need an American mortgage company or an American lender for your American citizens that are purchasing homes there, please contact us. We can help all American citizens looking to purchase. They don't have to go through or try to go through a Mexican bank or whatever the case may be. They'll be working with us and we'll be able to kind of handle the transaction, walk them through it, make sure everything's kind of happening in a timely manner. But yes, to your question, we do work with real estate agents in Mexico to purchase homes. I kind of ran through most of it. We talked about the down payment. So the down payment was going to be 35%. You're going to need a 700 FICO. We talked about the higher closing costs. You're going to need a little bit higher closing cost. Minimum loan amount, again, is $250,000 to buy. We can use bank statements as income if you guys are self-employed. We talked about that. You can use bank statements for you guys to qualify. I kind of ran through the whole gamut there. I don't know if you had any more questions. Let me see if I didn't cover anything. I think that's kind of the majority of it. You are going to have home insurance. You're going to have home insurance, guys. There's also property taxes in Mexico, stuff that you're not going to be able to get away from. Property taxes over there can vary. They can be very low or they can be very high. They can be 0.5%. They can be 3%, 2%. It's just going to kind of depend on the area that you guys are in. But again, I want to reiterate that this is a very safe way of doing business, is with going through an actual lending institution that does hundreds, if not thousands of these transactions. It's a safe way for you to buy if you're an American. And again, another thing that I actually didn't mention, technically it's an Americans and anybody who's a permanent resident. So my green card holders, if you're a green card holder and you're looking to purchase, again, in Mexico, any part of Mexico, this is a great program for you. I'm probably going to come out with more videos kind of talking a little bit more about some of the details of buying and using financing. But I think we kind of touched on most of it. And I covered all your questions. All your questions are covered. Okay. I guess that's it, guys. I appreciate your time. Now that was Mexican Lending 101, U.S. citizens buying in Mexico. If you guys are looking to purchase in Mexico, my number is literally everywhere, but I'll try to put it in the description. Put it in the description below. It's on my YouTube banner. If you go on my YouTube page, it's on my Instagram. All my socials are in the description section. So again, any questions, reach out to all my Mexican people out there. Call me. Viva Mexico.